We are back. That's right. We are back. This is Movie Reviews by Dr. B and
Mrs. B.
I'm an anthropologist and she's
I'm an independent artist scholar.
There you go. And we're obviously persons of color, and we also have children who are adults. And there you go. And of course, we're baby boomers. And we're going to celebrate Irish Heritage Month and St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. You can see we're all decked out. St. Patrick's Day, folks.
St. Patrick's Day, Welsh and Scotland.
And we're celebrating, and we're doing a movie review of Darby. What is it? Darby
O'Gill.
And the Little People.
There you go.
And of course, Brave. And so, yes, we felt the need and just being respectful and trying to make sure that everyone sees all varieties of movies. And what better way to celebrate these two classic Disney movies by doing a review? So, with that said, do you have any opening thoughts, Mrs. B?
Well, I'd like to say that both films, Darby O'Gill and also Brave, are excellent choices for family, whether you're G, PG, and for the entire family. And I also like to say thank you to, and it's a homage, I would say, as well to Sean Connery, and will be missed. And I'd like to say, Sean, your moneypenny could not be more fantastic. And I'd have to say, in my baby boomer age, I've made it. Sean would say, "You've made it, old girl." And I'm very proud of you. I could see that you've went through tough battles, but you've gotten over it. You would have made an excellent moneypenny.
Wow.
Well, thank you, Sean. And rest in peace. And that's only the deep felt homage to Welsh and Wales, England. Thank you, Sean. Connery and family. Blessings to you, as well as Scotland, St. Andrews, and all of you there. Thank you. And Darby O'Gill, and happy St. Patrick's Day to the Irish heritage as well.
Now, with that, thank you for that nice introduction, Mrs. B. Now, let me give a quick overview of this movie, Darby O'Gill and the Little People. Again, this is before Sean Connery became James Bond in his younger days. And let me give you, if I can say, the little quick plot of this movie. And here's the description from Disney. It says, take a wee bit of ancient folklore, mix it with spectacular special effects, and a magical cast, including Sean Connery, and you got one of the most enchanting fantasies of all time. A frisky old storyteller named Darby O'Gill is desperately seeking the proverbial pot of gold. There's this pot of gold, but there's just one thing. This tiny leprechaun, 21-inch leprechaun named King Brian. In order to get the gold, Darby must match his wit against this shrewd little trickster, which proves no small task. Fall under the spell of Darby O'Gill and the Little People for this fun-filled adventure of magic, mirth, and non-stop shenanigans. So there you go. Non-stop shenanigans. So, Mrs. B, I want to get your take. Matter of fact, this is the first time I really looked at the movie. Mrs. B was talking about, this is the first time I saw the movie. And I was just taken aback by the sincerity, the honesty of the plot. It just drew me in. It was Walt Disney. Oh, by the way, Walt Disney, the Walt Disney, the actual person, he signed this off. He was at the beginning of this movie.
He signed off and made a statement on this particular film.
Yes.
And thank you, Disney and Pixar, because it was wonderful.
No, just Disney. It wasn't Pixar. Disney.
Pixar's on Brave. So
Yeah.
So thank
So
you.
let's talk about
very much.
Darby O'Gill. You got your notes. You got
Well, I
your
got my notes.
overview.
And
Uh-oh.
I did my
This. Let's hear Mrs. B break this
Well,
movie down.
I want to break it down a little bit. I want to say that the dialects, of course, is authentic for one thing, and then Sean as well as the actors, they kept all the cast authentic to the actors themselves. The imagery was fantastic during that particular time period that the film was made.
Yes.
And wow, look how far we come with the special effects. But look what they did during that time.
During
with
that time,
special
it was
effects.
they
Wow.
had the little people right in midst of the regular people, and the way they did that in the photography and the cinematic, that was it was seamless.
Yes,
And
yes.
this movie was made in 1958 or in the late 1950s.
Yes. I would say, Sean, he played with the other actors, Janet Munro and Albert Sharpe, as well as the characters. It was written by Lawrence Edward Oliver, director Robert Stevenson, and the credit rolls go on from there. The actor Albert Sharpe, Darby O'Gill, and Janet Munro, the daughter Katie O'Gill, and Sean came in as Michael McBride. And so he was
he was
taking
this
the
youngster.
caretaker's place.
Caretaker.
Because, the father had been, and they lived in this cottage house, and he was telling his daughter all along, this is our home, and this, and he's like, well, this is kind of not your home. It was kind of a borrowed, not borrowed, but it's a caretaker's home. And so now, he's older, and Sean has come into town to replace them, and then there's this lad competition among each other. And
Darby was always telling
always
stories. Matter of fact, he was telling stories all the time. They have scenes where they were in the local bar, and he was telling stories again and again about he met this leprechaun years ago, and no one really believed him. No one really believed him, and he was frustrated because he knew he had come across these the leprechauns before. So
Jimmy O'Dea was the leprechaun.
Okay.
The leprechaun in the miniature size.
Yeah.
And oh boy, and Darby would tell these fantastic stories in the pub.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I saw the leprechaun one day, and he came down, and everybody was enthralled in the stories in the pub. And you can't come into a pub, an Irish pub, and drink, and you gotta have stout.
Gotta have stout. We gotta have
anything
stories.
else. You have to have that ale. Those are the unwritten rules. And so when they came, in there, he went in there, and when they got to the point where he was speaking about the leprechaun tricked him. He had the first wish, there's your wish. And then the second wish. And then the third wish, of course, he gave him a pot of gold. And then he says, but there's a fourth wish. And then the leprechaun says, well, you voided all three of your wishes, so you get nothing.
No, he actually wished a fourth one mistakenly, and then the leprechaun said, guess what? You don't get the pot of gold because there's no fourth wish. And so then the plot where Darby O'Gill came to this situation. Let's move on further in the plot, Mrs. B.
Well, from there, they, again, Dr. B was correct. He was talking about the wishes. And then they go on, and Sean comes in and takes the place, and, there's some tussling going on. And the other lad that was in competition for Katie O'Gill, he starts to get jealous. He knocks out the character of Sean Connery, Michael McBride. It was set up.
Yeah.
And so eventually he finds his way, and they had lost their mother, his wife, Katie O'Gill, and Darby O'Gill, his wife. They lost their mother up on the hill, the legend of the hill. The scary hill.
The scary hill that was haunted by ghosts.
Yes.
And they were scared to go up there because there was this legend and this ghost that protected the hill. And unfortunately, they lost their mother, and every time they had to venture up there, they were scared. They were scared because they thought something was going to happen to them. And then eventually, something actually happened to the daughter, where she went up there and she almost fell and lost her life by towards the end. But again, they had to overcome that. But the plot where Darby O'Gill actually went went up there looking for a horse, looking for the horse, the first one, and
the one
then
that was
looking for
coming
the
at him.
horse, and magically he fell down this well, and then all of a sudden, all these little people were everywhere.
Yeah, they were.
Dancing
Really?
everywhere, and the music was fantastic.
Oh, the
Talk about the
props.
music.
Oh, the music was wonderful.
Yes.
The classic songs as well as the songs of tradition. And I'd like to say that the color cinematography and the size of the dimension and the editing of the colorful costumes was, as I was writing it out when we were watching the film, it's the colorful of the costumes and also the size in the film of the set props, colorization, and bringing it and it visually communicated it to the audience proportions of the man size over the larger size and bringing that together. That's the prop design. That's the masterful. And also the camera visual feat, the detail and the color of the prop design was fascinating to me, as well as
I just love the
viewing,
I
the
love
audience,
I love the leprechauns
separation
dancing.
of the details one couldn't tell. So that's how you know it's really good.
And the leprechauns dancing.
And the dialogue and the actors. And the leprechauns dancing after.
That was so funny.
La la la. Oh, so, and so the leprechaun, he was a trickster. Katie O'Gill, she gave Sean Connery character Michael McBride a run for his money. She there was that love interest.
Let me just say, then Sean Connery broke out in a song. The Irish, what was the name of it?
My God!
Sean Connery broke out and singing.
I didn't even know he could sing that
and he
good.
said, what was the name of the song? Irish Lady or something?
It was I'll go back down to towards the end of
it was just fantastic. You wouldn't think that Sean Connery was singing, but he just broke out in this song, and it was just it was classic.
It was classic.
And he was courting the young lady. And he said, I want to marry you. But it was this classic Irish lady song.
Classic Irish song.
So, and they actually ended the movie on that song, by the way.
Yeah, they ended the movie on the song.
On the song.
Yeah, and the directors and the prop masters, excellent job.
Yeah.
And as I was reviewing it, I was writing it as I was reviewing it. I thought, wow, this is wonderful.
Yeah.
But they ended the movie on the song, All Well That Ends Well.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a great job. It was more of a musical, and the soundtrack was really wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would bring that back. And then also some of the... and Darby O'Gill, the love interest, that worked out pretty good at the end. And I can't go into all the details because I wrote a whole lot.
She wrote
There's
a
little
lot,
bit of stubbornness there.
But what is
And,
the key point that you want our audience to remember?
Very clever.
Well, what are the key points that you
Very
want
clever.
our audience to remember from this classic Irish movie?
What do I want them to remember? That is wholesome. That is family values. That is tradition. That is love, loss, poverty, rising up, middle class income, wealth, estates of caretakers, living their lives, living their stories, amusing themselves with regals of love and ancestry and taking care of each other, as well as the wealthy, and the lands and the estates in the Highlands, in the Irish, in the Kells, the Book of Kells, as well as in the areas of the Wales and all the countrysides of Scotland, and those places in the Highlands where so many traditions and Gaelic language has been preserved for years and years and years. And so it's an education as well. And it's an edutainment. So I would encourage you to watch the film with your family, learn about different cultures, what the meanings is, how to speak in those languages that have almost was lost but preserved in time along with the architecture and the history of them from decades to decades. And it was love at the end.
Yeah.
You're going to have fights and girlfriend and boyfriend and eventually betrothed to marriage. But at the same time, husband and wife, stubbornness as they can be sometime, even Dr. B and Mrs. B, that comes together as a family. and they get married, and they have their children, and they go on with life.
There you go.
And whatever life brings you. So get together with your family, love one another, and learn about different cultures.
And
Culture.
this one,
Culture.
this was one about, it was, again, it's dated, but it was still a classic Irish movie.
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
in its own sense. So give it its props and how it was presented during that time period. So again, I give it. What do you give it? I give that totally thumbs up. Thumbs up. Production. Thank you. Thumbs up. Now we move on to Brave. Brave. This was a Pixar movie that just came out in 2012, I believe. 2012. Let me read the description from this classic movie, Brave. Pixar animation creator Toy Story 3 whisk you away on an astonishing adventure to an ancient land full of mystery and traditions. Bursting with heart, unforgettable characters, and Pixar's signature humor, Brave is a rousing, gorgeously animated, good time raves of Peter Travers of Rolling Stone. Says of Rolling Stone. Take a heroic journey with, what's her name? Merida, a skilled archer and headstrong daughter of King Fergus and Queen Eleanor. Determined to carve her own path of life, Merida defies an age-old custom sacred to the unruly and unruly. I'm trying to get through it. And lords of the land. When Merida actions inadvertently unleash chaos in the kingdom, she must harness all of her skills and resources, including her clever and mischievous triplet brothers. An undue and beastly curse before it's too late, and discover the meaning of true bravery. So tell the audience, what did you think about this particular movie? It was in a again, traditional Irish setting, and how did Scottish
clothing, and all the beautiful things that make it. You have to first of all go through the setting. What I would say, Dr. B, is that from the beginning, the colorization, the animation, and Pixar Disney
did a good job on it.
Excellent job as usual.
Okay.
The hair flowing on her beautiful red locks, and the mother who's trying to keep up the clan
and the mother tradition.
And she and the father, he's fighting this bear, and he wants to take it down, and he's protecting his family, and he loses his leg, and at fighting with this.
That's
bear,
at the very beginning of the storyline.
And so they get back, and then they go and live their lives, and they're back at the castle, and they come to court the daughter, and the mother's teaching her, well, you walk like this and you do like that, and she's willful and she's strong, and she's never going to fit into the particular tradition that the mother and father wants her to fit in. And she's going on, and she's archery, and she's doing archery. And
she loved archery for one thing, but she was, again, like Mrs. B saying, she's trained to be a princess.
Trained to be a princess.
And her mother was training to be a princess, but
unruly.
But she wanted to really do her archery, and she was courted by all these three particular young gentlemen to try to be her bride, try to be her groom, and they
to match up, make a
and
match.
she resisted all the time.
She resisted all the way.
And
she says, "Okay, Mom, I will go ahead, and they have to fight for me, but you have to pick a sport." In order to, step up and be the man that would marry their daughter, the queen and king. And so she says, I'll pick it up. So she's ready. She's like, if I'm going to have to do this, it's going to have to be archery. So, and so they each compete, and they do the arrow, and they compete back and forth. And then, the skinniest, smallest, tiniest, goofiest one wins. And nothing wrong with being skinny, tiny, or any of it. Okay, nothing wrong with size of it, but it just happens to be not her cup of tea. And so, and um, and definitely not anything that she would want to look at in a beautiful soldier like Scottish kilts. And so she wouldn't want that. and so then she goes and she says, "Let me show you." And she jumps out of her chair and she loosens up her dress, and her mother's appalled. Yeah. And then so she goes, and since she goes down towards the arrow, and she goes 1, 2, 3. And then she takes care of it. And
1, 2, 3, and split all of them.
Splits all
of the arrow.
And they go, wow, maybe I underestimated.
Yeah.
And then she's upset with her mother, and she goes out into the land, follows these wisps into the forest, where she meets that wicked witch, and the wicked witch gives her wishes, and then she comes back, and then she realizes, oh my goodness, what have I done? She gives her mother something to eat and turns her mother into a bear, which is exact opposite of what the king doesn't want. Oh my, he can't stand. The bear took his leg. Oh my goodness. So then after that, she says, they gotta hide the mother, and they go through all these shenanigans and fun, and they go back and forth, and she's like, well, and then her brothers, the 3 brothers who are always mischief, gets into trouble, and they eat the cake of the witch, and they 3 turn into little cute bears.
Little bears.
And so they try to she's got to turn her mother back from the spell of this witch back into her mom before she gets hurt, before she really dies. And it's really heartwarming and teary-eyed at the end, and then so much joy. And then the mother, comes out of it, and it's mom again. And the mother learns a lesson to loosen up. Yeah. Don't push too hard. That's a lesson for Mrs. B about our adult children. I had to learn something. And so don't push too hard on your children. Let them grow.
There you go.
And let them grow up.
And even that scene where the mother came back, she was not the same picture. She actually let her hair flow. She didn't have it rolled up. She let it flow, and she had a different dress on, and she actually gave in to her daughter. She grew older.
And they
riding the horse together and through the scene. That was fantastic.
Stop being so just be you.
Yeah.
And women and girls look a different way, and so does mischievous brothers.
So what's the take home from this movie, Mrs. B?
Magical, whimsical, culture, language, preservation, love of family, getting along, solving fights, come together and be yourself. And your mothers and daughters and fathers and sons are going to fight. And, mind your manners, respect etiquette, respect your elders. They're going to fight, but you're all going to get together. You're all going to get together in the end. You're going to go through fights and struggles, but you're all going to get together in the end. And if you can't, there's a lesson even in that, to learn to go into your future and learn to go into a positive space and enjoy this movie with all this thing going on with the COVID. And I was, just talking to University of Edinburgh and all those wonderful people over there and ancestry and heritage, as well as in America. Celebrate Irish Heritage Month. Celebrate your cultures, Scotland and Wales. And thank you for all the things that you do. Wonderful. And enjoy as well.
Thank you, Mrs. B.
Thank you.
That's our special tribute to Irish Heritage Month and St. Patrick's Day. With that, I am Dr. B, and she is
Mrs. B.
And I'm an anthropologist, and she's
I'm an independent artist scholar.
There you go. Wow, I feel better already.
I feel pretty lucky.
Oh, man. Where's my pot of gold?
No pun intended.
Where's my pot of gold?
We're still looking for that pot of gold, though.
Yes, we are. Well, thank you. Have a great month, everyone.
Thank you.
We're out.